delete, ignore.
They work in secret, reviewing the most explicit social media posts from around the world.
There's this code of silence in Silicon Valley.
The companies have more and more power to decide what must be taken down.
There are tens of thousands of people who are doing this work.
From every suspicious word.
Our job is not easy.
Delete.
To every gruesome moment.
I've seen hundreds of beheadings.
Delete.
Ignore.
Filmmakers Hans Block and Moritz Riesevic expose the shadowy figures employed to censor our internet.
That outsourcing should be really quite disturbing to people in democratic societies.
And examine how our lives have come to depend on them.
In this world, there's really an evil who exists. We need to control it.
If you commit one mistake, you could ruin more than one life. Ignore. It could trigger war.
The Cleaners, now only on Independent Lens.
Delete, ignore. Ignore.
Delete. Delete.
Ignore.
Ignore.
We stand for connecting every person, for a global community, for giving everyone in the world the power to share anything they want with anyone.
Mark Zuckerberg is now the front page editor for every newspaper in the world, effectively.
Delete. Delete.
Social media platforms, they need and want to maintain complete control over what goes on.
Facebook has a bigger population than any state in the world. And so when it acts as censor, it is as powerful as a state.
Ignore. Ignore.
If I didn't have social media, I wouldn't be able to get the word out. I probably wouldn't be standing here, right? I probably wouldn't be standing here, right?
Delete. Delete.
There are tens of thousands of people who are doing this work. All of it's done in secret. It's done by unknown people, and they're actually taking major editorial decisions.
Delete. Ignore.
Delete. Delete.
Ignore.
Ignore.
Delete.
Ignore. Delete. Delete.
Delete.
The reason why I speak to you, because the world should know that we are here. There is somebody who's checking the social media. We are doing our best to make this platform safe for all of them. We don't look for recognition. We are just like policemen. Our main goal is to make the platform healthy as possible. Someone needs to guard it, just like the real world.
Ang trabaho kasi sa akin, yung passion ko kasi sa ginagawa ko. Ikaw kasi ang moderator, parang security ka kasi. You protect them. Ganun ako sa trabaho.
Hindi siya dapat dinidisclose sa mamamayan kasi wala dapat makaalam na merong ganun nagtatrabaho. Kapag nalaman kasi yung ganun, syempre maka-curious yung mga tao.
Ano, 6 years na akong content moderator. Dami ko nang nakitang video, mga picture. Mga pictures na nakalist, tapos pipindutin lang namin kung ano yung i-delete mo at kung ano yung mga bawal base sa guidelines. Daily quota mo na pictures nasa 25,000, pumapalo ka ng 25,000, di ba? Siguro may Guinness Book of Record na ako eh. Siguro ang pinaka goal, ang pinaka mission ng isang content moderator talagang linisin ang mga marumi. Yun lang naman talaga yung goal namin eh. Yun na yung pinaka responsibility namin, to make sure na walang kakaiba na i-upload sa online. Yun lang.
I started at Google in 2004. It has been a privilege to be part of building the infrastructure of the world we're now living in. To be part of something that so clearly is powerful with the potential to really change lives for the good. That's an amazing thing and a privilege to be a part of. You start with the question, what's the vision for what should be on your platform? What isn't appropriate? What don't you want in your community? And there are choices in that, right? Like there is a choice to say, I'm going to not let anything go up before I review it. That's a choice. Or I'm going to permit most things and only review the things that are complained about. That's also a choice. When your value is around allowing more expression, allowing this sort of democratized platform to really live, then I think you go with the more liberal policies.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep, I do.
Thank you very much. Nicole Wong, who is the Associate General Counsel and Chief Privacy Officer for Google. Mrs. Wong, our staff went on the internet and they put in preteen plus sex plus video. If you just look at the Google sites, I mean, it looks like a hardcore pornography. I mean, this sex games and preteen sex and teen porn.
Mr. Chairman, we have multiple layers to review. It's terrible that these sites are there, and we should...
Well, I think we all agree, but it looks like your company is doing the least to try to block it or to stop it. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and I think in addition to the levels of review that we try to do to take it out, we also have the biggest search engine on the internet. We have
So it should be
many
easier to
billions
find
of
it, and it
pages.
should be easier to find it, so I would think you'd have more ways to block it than the others if you have the biggest search engine.
We have the biggest search engine with many more pages to review. And we have our own search quality engineers who are trained to look for and remove these types of sites. We do the best we can.
Okay.
When we started training, I didn't know what content moderator was. I had no idea, and that was the first time I heard about it. They explained to us what are we going to see, what are the tools that we're going to use, and what should we expect in this job. I remember feeling that I wanted to quit already. The most shocking thing that I saw when I was a content moderator back then is that a kid sucking a dick inside a cubicle, and the kid was like really naked. It was like a girl at around 6 years of age, and he was sucking a dick. And another picture taken was the child was actually on the bed, and she has a cum shot in here, which is really, I don't know, unforgivable for me to see. So I went straight to my team leader and told him that I can't do this. I really can't do this. I can't look at the child. But then he told me that I should do it because this is my job, and I signed the contract for it.
When you open the floodgates and you ask the entire world to broadcast yourself, upload your life, share everything that you can think of to share, people respond. People with all sorts of motivations and interests and desires respond. When Facebook or Google claim that they don't have any employees in Manila, they can legitimately do that by using the labor of a third-party outsourcing firm. It's true that the paychecks don't come from Google or Facebook. They come from an outsourcing firm based in the Philippines. Commercial content moderators labor in the shadows of social media platforms, out of sight and out of mind, actually unknown to the millions of users of the platforms who've never given it much of a thought, who does the cleanup work on their platforms.
Content moderator is parang sniper. Ang target mo dito is yung mga user nagbo-broke ng TOS ng application.
Hit! Woo!
Oh my God.
Tsaka proud din po ako na nagiging anak ko siya. Very suportado po siya sa amin sa lahat ng bagay. Wala akong idea masyado sa ginagawa niya as moderator. Basta ang alam ko, sinasabi niya sa akin na moderator siya sa office.
Nung bata ako, lagi ako sinasabihan ng mama ko na kapag hindi ako nag-aral ng mabuti or napariwara ako, posibleng maging basurero ako or basurera. Ang ginagawa nila, nag-aano sila, kumbaga, namumulot sila ng basura. Umaasa lang sila sa basura. Yun lang yung alam nilang hanap buhay. Kumukuha ako ng basura. Yun na naman siguro yung kakatakutan ko eh. Parang isa rin yun sa mga bagay na nag-drive sa akin kaya nag-aral ako ng mabuti.
Kumbaga yung kinikita namin bilang Pilipino, sobrang kulang. Tapos yung trabaho na yun, gaya ng pagiging content moderator, siya lang yung magbibigay ng pat na pera para sa amin, para mag-survive kami.
Delete. Ignore. Delete. Alright, safe to delete. Delete. Ignore. It's delete. Delete. Delete.
January 2016, I painted a piece of Donald Trump with a small penis called Make America Great Again. And it went viral and millions of people shared it across many social platforms. And a few days later, he mentioned his penis size on a debate. And I remember my friend saying, she called me and she was like, "Did you just make Donald Trump talk about his penis size on a debate?"
And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it. All right.
I pushed it on my Facebook page, and within 3 days it had something like 50 million shares and over so many social platforms. It just went crazy. And I had no idea it would go that far.
This is Donald Trump in a nude. He is not a strong enough leader to handle. That's why his penis is somehow small. He's not that manly enough to handle a huge task as a president of America. It's delete. Why? It degrades Donald Trump personality, so it must be deleted. Bilang content moderator, kailangan meron kang sarili mong prinsipyo. Ikaw mismo magde-decide kung tatanggapin mo ba yung picture na yon na makita o hindi. So, number 1 grave error is yung makapag-approve ka ng nude photos. Kung boobs, kung ari ng lalaki, bawal na bawal.
My Facebook page was shut down, and everything I had, every account I had was shut down, and so all I had is my social accounts, and I can't tell anyone what's going on or what's happening. Facebook says fine art is okay. Sure, you could consider it porn, but when it comes to art, it's a representation of that. It's not actually real, it's not a photograph, it's not someone who hasn't consented, it's just a fictional piece. Again, it's not violent, it's not sexual, it's just a naked human body with Trump's face on it. I just don't understand why people think someone naked is so disgusting.
Eh, hindi naman ako used to it na makakita ng mga ganong klaseng imahe. Siyempre, sa umpisa, kailangan mo talagang mag-training. Doon kami na-introduce sa iba't ibang klaseng terms ng sex. So, siyempre, kailangan mo siyang intindihin. Like, may mga salitang pussy, may mga salitang tits. So, siyempre, hindi ko pa alam yun. Mga paka-inosente pa akong kunyari nung una. Pero totoo, hindi ko talaga alam siya. Yung mga term na ganun. Tapos, may mga ginagamit pang sex toys. Hindi ko rin alam kung ano mga ibig sabihin ng mga yun. Nung una. So, may mga terms na butt plugs. Siyempre, hindi ko alam yun kung ano yun. So, akala ko yung plug para sa pambara, para hindi lumabas yung tubig. Time din na yun, pagka-uwi ko, nanood ako ng iba't ibang klaseng pornography. Siyempre, hindi ako used to it na makita ng ari ng lalaki. So, nangyari, kinagabihan, nung matutulog na ako, ay, panaginipan ko, iba't ibang klase ng ari. Tapos, lahat na lang nakikita ko, puro ari na ng lalaki. Gising mo, good morning na good morning. Kasi, ay, panaginip ko, iba't ibang klaseng ari ng lalaki. Ay, wow! Ikaw ba naman? Mahaba, maigsi, maputi, maitim, mataba, payat, totoy, sobrang gurang, may balat, sobra hirap. Pero, ayun, ending, guilty pleasure. Kasi, nag-guilty ako kasi tumitingin ako ng mga ganong bagay. Pleasure, kasi kahit pa paano, natutuwa ako sa nakikita ko.
Mr. Colin Stretch, General Counsel for Facebook, Mr. Sean Edgett, Acting General Counsel for Twitter, and Mr. Richard Salgado, the Director of Law Enforcement and Information Security at Google. Millions of Americans use your technology to share the first step of a grandchild, to talk about good and bad things in their lives, and I would like to say to all of you, you've enriched America. But the bottom line is these technologies also can be used to undermine our democracy and put our nation at risk. Do you all agree it's bad for business if the American public perceives you as being able to have your platforms hijacked by terrorists to radicalize Americans? It's all bad for business, right?
It's beyond bad for business, Senator. There's no place for terrorism on Facebook.
We would agree with that.
Okay.
No, I agree with that proposition. I'd like to ask some questions. It would seem to me that there's a pretty big distinction between potentially jihadi accounts. There's a whole range of theological interpretation about people who don't quite believe in violence in the name of religion and people who do. The intricacies of jihadi theology is not something that an engineer is exactly trained to do. So
No.
who are your content experts by domain? How do you hire for that?
So we have thousands of people who as part of their job on a regular basis, are attempting to keep terrorism off of Facebook. We have 150 people who do nothing else.
How many people do you have, Mr. Edgett, at Twitter?
Well, we harness the power of both technology, algorithms, machine learning to help us, and also a large team of people that we call our trust and safety team and our user services team. It's hundreds of people.
What about you?
Internally, we'll have thousands of people working on them. We also get a good deal of leads on content that come from outside the company.
So in view of that, Mr. Stretch, do you think 150 people is enough people?
Senator, to be clear, we have about 10,000 people who are working on safety and security generally, and we're committing to investing more and doubling that number by the end of 2018.
Delete. 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 Ignore. Delete. 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 I've seen hundreds of beheadings in my complete career for content moderation. Yeah. Not even pictures, even the other videos. A 2-minute video of the act of beheading. The beheader is doing a speech before he cuts the head of the victims. Sometimes they're lucky that it's just a very sharp blade that's being used to them. But the worst scenario would be the little knife, similar to a kitchen knife, which is not that sharp. Sometimes it would last for 1 minute before the head is cut. For this one, they use a shorter blade. Because if you will see this one, and the way it was cut, it's not that clean. It's kinda edgy. Because if they use a longer and sharper blade, it's really clean. Not that much blood. For this one, they use the kitchen knife. It's really challenging.
Whenever we see a photo or a video on social media, we archive it immediately because we know later it might be taken down. And it's very important for us to document these photos because we might not have this photo again. Pretty much everyone in Syria has a cell phone now, and pretty much everyone is an activist. They would document every alleged airstrike, the aftermath of the airstrikes, victims, destruction, whether this is done by the coalition, by Russia, the Syrian regime. They would collect all these videos and they would upload them on their account. After we have collected the data, we try to geolocate it. We'll try to find out the exact place, and we publish it online. We help paint a picture of the war in Syria. So this is the school, and the airstrike was in the school area, so the neighborhoods around it. Without our work, the armies would have, or the governments would have, a straight pass without anybody challenging them. There would be, I think, more civilians getting killed. There would be less closure. We would not be able to know what's going on. These videos are needed. These videos are part of the war. They provide information. They provide evidence for the future. But the problem is these videos are quite often classified as ISIS videos. It's been seen that this is very graphic, so they get deleted. Now, the censorship that's taken place on YouTube, it's affecting a lot of organizations with a lot of videos about Syria and airstrikes and destruction. And they had their accounts suspended. Our life is different from here. We have war. That's very important reason why the content is different. The war and airstrikes and killing, that's what we would focus on. That's what we're going to report about. We would report about football activities or, yeah, let's go to this place for brunch. No, unfortunately not.
A decision about what constitutes terrorist content is a really context-based decision. It may show up on one platform as a true threat, and it may show up on another platform as news or as a satire, right? Or criticism, commenting on a piece of content. And so I think that so much is taken about the context around a piece of content, it's hard to know whether something should be removed or not. You know, think about that global workforce, right? And they may be reviewing content coming from a country they have never been to, right? No historical grounding in what they're seeing. It's really, really hard for some of these difficult pieces of content.
Itong picture na to, napaka parang iconic photo to eh. Ito yung parang sa Vietnam War. Itong bata na to parang naging icon pa sa Vietnam eh. Pero based on guidelines ulit, siyempre genitals, minor involved, delete to. Yun lang, parang napaka-basic lang. Bestiality. Ito, siyempre, itong matanda na to, yung lalaki, nakikipag-sex sa ibon. So, anything related sa sexual intercourse should be deleted. So, delete talaga to.
We're seeing here a man kneeling, and then a big dog, and then a soldier. This would be the ISIS guy. There's this one on the left. This would be the ISIS, and this would be the captive. This is an ISIS way of torturing. So we still take this one down.
ito kasi uri siya ng isang aksidente sa baha, tapos bata pa. Kung ikaw press ka, sa social media ka, hindi mo ipopost itong kagaya ng ganitong picture. Maaari mo siyang i-post, pero in a censored way na hindi na talagang hindi clearly, hindi malinaw. Andun yung picture, pero hindi ganito. Hindi ganito kalinaw. Delete to para sa akin. Delete tong photo na to.
It's weird to be here physically in Berlin, while emotionally and mentally completely there in Syria, just watching the war from a distance. I have this guilt feeling of being the survivor. I decided to post these photos on my Facebook wall, and then Facebook took it down after 3 days. There was no explanation. I tried to, like, in every possible way to be in touch, but it was impossible. And then to be able to show these photos, I decided to work out and peel out the skin of the photo, where I take the victim out of the picture, so you can actually show these photos without using this excuse that it's not proper to show. Sometimes I try to think about it. Who decide what is the policy of Facebook? And I would love to meet these people. I would love to talk, know who they are, because by logic, their background, who they are, it affects how they think. That child didn't die out of a normal situation. It was caused by the whole international game. So giving them a very loud voice is an aim. Yeah, definitely. We should keep disturbing the world in a way, in a good way.
The companies have more and more power to decide what can stay up and what must be taken down. They take advantage of our desire for ease, our resistance to effort, our resistance to challenge. And I think over time, if we're not already there, it will interfere with our ability to have critical thinking. It interferes potentially with our ability to be challenged. To the extent that we're limiting expression, we're also limiting challenge. We're limiting effort. People shouldn't be surprised if in the future there's less information available to them, less edgy, less provocative information available online. And I think that we will be a poorer society, we'll be poorer societies for it.
As a moderator, you should always be focused. In life, you should also focus. Focus on the good things. One day, they will be gone, the bad things. Because there's a promise of eternal happiness. The world that we are living in right now, I believe it's not really healthy. In this world, there's really an evil who exists. We need to watch for it. We need to control it, good or bad. What I'm seeing here is a police officer. And then on the left-hand side of this picture is a person who has a gun. This is a police officer of the Philippines. And I believe this is related to the extrajudicial killing as the media claims. We don't know if it's really the police or their co-drug dealers who's killing them. Some believe it's really our president who's killing these people.
Si Duterte, yung presidente namin, ayaw niya sa drugs, ayaw niya sa masasamang loob. Ayun sa presidente namin, kung paano niya ginagawang safe yung Pilipinas. Ganon din ako sa ginagawa ko sa trabaho ko, sa mga user na gumagamit ng application.
Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. Now, there's a 3 million drug addicts. There are. I'd be happy to slaughter them. At least, if Germany had Hitler, the Philippines would have, but, my victims, I would like to be all criminals to finish the problem of my country and save the next generation from perdition. Salamat po.
So, although sabihin natin medyo maling background yung pagpatay, mga ganito, mas mabuti pa rin talagang tignan natin yung magandang side or ng isang pinuno kaysa yung pangit na side. 'Di ba? Ganun ako. Nagpo-focus ako sa magandang, hindi ko ini-entertain mga negative na bagay na nangyari sa akin. Mocha Girls, napaka-hot itong mga babae na to. Sa unang tingin mo pa lang may in love ka na. Ang paborito ko sa lahat is Mocha. Napakalaki ng impluwensya ng Mocha Girls dito sa Pilipinas. Napapanood sila sa buong mundo, social media. Bukod sa sikat sila, sinusuportahan pa nila ang aming presidente.
Are you happy with President Duterte? Do you trust in our president and All right, so now, number 3.
Have you seen her pictures? You've seen her pictures online? Her sexy pictures? Before, her Facebook page was full of these things, before she became political. Now, one time this was during the time when the president still had his media blackout. He refused to give interviews to the media. He gave Mocha Uson an interview.
Yes, sir. We support you 100%. Boycott na po natin yung media. And yung mga tao po ngayon, umaasa po sa Facebook.
Facebook na lang.
Yes, sir.
Total, makukuha mo na.
And in that interview, Mocha Uson was fawning all over the president, expressing her support for the president and calling for a boycott of media. So I wrote a post on my Facebook and I said that it's fascinating that now a meeting between the president and an avid supporter is branded as journalism. I've had people tell me to buy a bulletproof vest. I've had people tell me that they would blow my head off. I've had people tell me that they would bury me alive. I've been called corrupt. I've been called biased. I've been called a prostitute. The danger with Facebook is that it's so much easier to fall into the trap of taking sides because it's so easy to publish. Just post and click. People can be very emotional and people can be easily carried away with quick snippets of information that makes you think that you understand. This is why, for example, we have a Trump, or this is why we have a Duterte, or this is why we have a Mocha Uson. The danger is that we might lose democracy because we're willing to give it up.
There's this code of silence in the Silicon Valley. Everything is always presented in a very varnished, manicured way. Everyone's killing it. Everything's going great. Every plot is up and to the right. Negatives in general are just not talked about. When I was there, the workforce at Facebook was very young. And if you're young, you don't really have draws on your time. You don't have a wife, you don't have kids, whatever, right? And so there's a lot of people who kind of semi-lived at Facebook. You were encouraged to hack the world, however possible. No. Facebook is fundamentally a tech company, right? It's run by engineers. It thinks about product. It thinks about infrastructure. It thinks about scale. It thinks about the user experience. It's not a media company. It doesn't think about content or content creation or content editing or curatorship. It is just not part of its DNA. Whenever Facebook has been confronted with, hey, you have a responsibility to this thing, their response is, we just do math. We have this algorithm, and we give you what you want, and we edit almost nothing. But the political reality is, after Trump, after Brexit, that answer kind of isn't quite good enough anymore. And yet I think we're reaching the point where the public just won't accept that as a reality. And at some point the government will step in, right? And I think they understand that.
There have been press reports that Facebook may have potentially developed software to suppress posts from appearing in people's news feeds in specific geographic areas. Is that accurate? Has Facebook developed software to suppress posts from appearing in people's news feeds in specific geographic areas?
We do have many instances where we have content reported to us from foreign governments that is illegal under the laws of those governments. So we deploy what we call geo-blocking or IP blocking so that the content will not be visible in that country, but remains available on the
So, for example,
service.
criticizing a government is illegal in that country. You have the capability to block them from criticizing the government and thereby gaining entry into that country and being allowed to operate.
So in the vast majority of cases where we are on notice of locally illegal content, it has nothing to do with political expression.
Facebook removes everything and anything from their social media platform when Turkish authorities ask them to do so. Political speech or content of a political nature is, in most cases, the main subject for these removals. I'll show you some examples in terms of what is being subject to blocking or removal. Photos burning the Turkish flag, a Kurdistan map, caricatures or cartoons mocking Erdogan. Whichever platform you look, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, Turkey is the country which restricts more than anyone else across the globe. Turkey has always been a country of censorship. The traditional media is increasingly controlled by the government. So Turkish people have been turning to social media platforms, but now they're constantly pressured by the Turkish authorities to remove or block content. These companies started to do deals with the government authorities because none of these platforms want to be blocked completely from Turkey, because then they would be losing users and business.
Delete. 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 Delete.
YouTube was so visual and was able to cross boundaries. So around 2007, we started to experience a lot of blockages. So when a government doesn't know how to reach you, they just turn you off in their country. It took us a while to figure out what it was they were upset about. We finally managed to get a hold of the specific videos that they were unhappy with, some of which were about Ataturk, some which they claimed were terrorist videos that were, again, violated Turkish law. And so I remember being up at like 2 o'clock in the morning one night reviewing 67 videos that the government was upset with, and then make decisions from there about what to remove and what to keep up. There was a point at which, for some videos which weren't going to get removed from the service generally because they didn't violate our community guidelines, but were illegal in Turkey, that we decided to block by the IP address for Turkish users, so that users in Turkey would not be able to see those videos. I did not love that resolution, but that's where we got to.
These are really backroom deals that the public doesn't have a lot of information about. When these governments, in a kind of back channel way, go to the companies and say, we want you to restrict this expression on your platform, it will push companies over time to make these decisions on their own. And they have to make decisions about what the law means, so that the companies are deciding what's lawful and what's not, what's illegal and what's legitimate. And that outsourcing to companies, I think, should be really quite disturbing to people in democratic societies.
the nature of the job itself, you are not allowed to commit one mistake. If you commit one mistake, you could ruin more than one life. It could trigger war, it could trigger bullying, it could trigger killing one's life. So, the opinions or the thinking of the users of the app depends upon the content moderators. Our job is not easy, as what they think.
Sa panahon kasi natin ngayon, lalo na sa political, ina-attack na ito yung sa bansang to, ina-attack si ganito, si bansang ganito. Ako, hindi ako masyado sa political. It's all up to you kung paano mo i-overcome yung mga bagay na yun. Kung minsan nagtitake ako 8 seconds to decide the image if kung ignore ko siya or di-delete ko. And then after that, move on tayo. Kasi life is all about moving on.
Currently, on reviewing cases now, mostly are coming from the US, from the time of the winning of Donald Trump, because there are such slurs against immigrants, against different race like Mexicans, the blacks. But it's just a point of view. You can say what you want, since we value freedom of speech in our platform.
When people say hate speech isn't free speech or free speech isn't hate speech, they are completely wrong, because the First Amendment is specifically designed for the things that you don't want to hear. I've been an upstart forever, man. Or I've been like the kicker for a long time, and I'm going to be the kicker until I die. Platforms like Facebook, it's available, it's accessible. You just need to be crafty with social networking, like on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. You just have to have the skills enough to shoot something and upload it. I believe the whole refugee thing, you just don't open the gate and just let a bunch of people in, because it's like you find out that a lot of them have diseases, a lot of them are criminals, a lot of them are rapists. The minute a Sharia police walks up to my wife and says, "Excuse me, you whatever," I'm gonna knock the out of them. It's like, you, man, carry your goat ass back to whatever fifth world home you came from. This is Sable. I'm signing out from Berkeley. It's good seeing all the patriots and all the people on the right that I saw here. There's a huge crowd of amazing people down the street. There's still a pretty big police presence here. I'm kind of curious how long they're going to be around, because I know as soon as they go, I wouldn't surprise me if people start fighting.
Coward behind the camera! Shut up!
The United States is so politically polarized that, I mean, someone from the sort of blue end of the spectrum can't even have a conversation with someone from the red end of the spectrum. And I mean, there's lots of reasons for that. I don't think Facebook created this, but I think Facebook definitely amplifies it and makes it worse. You know, it used to be the case that every citizen had a right to an opinion, and now every citizen has a right to their own reality, right, to their own truth, to their own set of facts. And, you know, Facebook very intentionally flatters those sets of facts by showing you, you know, what you want to hear, effectively, and effectively filtering out what you don't want to hear, by and large. And so I think to the degree, you know, democracy requires that we actually have a common set of both rules of behavior and also ground truth that we sort of debate around, right? And if you don't have rules of behavior, due to whatever reason, and you don't have a basic ground truth, then I think democracy becomes a little impossible.
But can you reflect back? What did he say?
Why did I come here to speak? He has absolutely no idea why I even came to speak.
To his satisfaction.
I have a question.
No, that's not this process. Feedback to him. He said.
I don't remember.
Okay, tell me what you understand about what he was saying.
Do I look white?
Hold on. Did I rear my ugly head? So listen, okay, listen.
Why are you yelling at me?
You're talking.
You're preaching to me.
You are talking.
No.
Tell me what I'm saying to you.
You're saying it in a very
Tell me
way.
what I'm saying to you.
I think you're frustrated. We need a man who will.
Yes, and what did I say to you? What did I say to you?
Yelling at me!
What am I saying to you?
Hey! Some leftist thinks you're being politically incorrect. We're the ones with the guns, the bullets, and the training. And as soon as we can start shooting, believe me, all that is gonna go away really fast.
I don't know that we can place all of the blame and responsibility for hatred in our world on the social media platforms. But where I think that the new tech companies need to really reflect is whether they promote that type of engagement, whether they have built systems that encourage and accelerate the most outrageous and offensive statements rather than the ones that will create more understanding.
Well, one of the misconceptions is that human nature is human nature, and then technology is just this neutral tool. It's not amplifying anything. But this is not true, because technology does have a bias, and that bias that it has a goal. It's actually seeking a goal, and the goal it's seeking is what will get the most number of people's attention. What tends to work on billions of people at successfully extracting their attention out of them and keeping it. And not just getting the attention, but then getting them to share things. And so it turns out that outrage is really good at doing that. Whether Facebook wants to or not, they actually benefit at getting more attention when they show feeds that are filled with outrage versus if they said, let's not show those things. It amplifies that which is most divisive, that which is most outrageous, that which is most fearful. The whole environment tuned to offer us the worst of ourselves.
I'll start with you, Mr. Stretch. Facebook's fastest growing markets are in the developing world. For example, Facebook is being used today as a breeding ground for hate speech against Rohingya. refugees in Myanmar. These are especially vulnerable people. They're being violently persecuted. The leadership in that country is not doing a darn thing. What are you doing to make sure it's not used to undermine nascent democracies, especially in the undermining? It's not losing votes, it's losing lives.
Senator, thank you for the question. We do have an obligation to make sure that it is not misused. And the way
we're talking about lives.
Senator, I don't disagree, and we do believe we have a role to play in raising visibility, but at the same time not be used as a tool to, for example, foment hatred or glorify violence in any way.
Here you see, wipe up these people, kill these people, you know. Killing Kala is okay for us. Kala means they're like a nigger in America. This account has about 400,000 followers on the Facebook. Facebook is helping in the spreading hatred against the Rohingya. The United Nations described that these Rohingya people are the most persecuted minority in the world. In Myanmar, their internet is the Facebook. Most of the people, they don't even know what is email. On Facebook, they are spreading the false information. If you post anything against the Rohingya, you will be popular. You will get a lot of like and the comments, you know, a lot of share. It spreads within 1 hour, many thousand shares. So they think that this is the authentic information. The majority of the people in Myanmar, they hate the Rohingya. Their mindset is getting worse day by day. In Bangladesh, now there are more than 1 million Rohingya refugee shelters.
Pura the time when I to go cus mother do go by Shashil by Shavala or Talon Malamaja, Fast go more to Ashili or Halotala by Jabajera by Banglain by Javan, the Fura dia, Sarataga lawyer, Mata, Kasunuraki, Mata Viriho Horaviatia. Hantan Hari Velaya, Han Hari Velaya, but as on a Dorita cars on a regular, but the Zerho kisses, Zerho kisses, the Tomajas Zerho, Tinoku Marie, Zerho die.
Facebook must stop all this hate.
What's happening with the Rohingya genocide in Burma is obviously, this is just one of so many social externalities that are being created by a few platforms that are made right here in California by a handful of people who look kind of like me, you know, young white guy, you know, engineers, whose decisions, no matter how thoughtful or conscious or less conscious they are, will impact what 2 billion people are thinking. You know, the people in Burma have no accountability loop. They can't say there's a pothole on the street called this fake news that's leading to this genocide. They're inhabiting this environment, living in Facebook every day, and they're spotting this pothole called fake news, which is feeding genocide. And they have no way to report that and get it actually taken care of. We ought to be really careful about the thing that we've built.
Madami ng pictures ang nakita ko. Hindi ko na rin maalala. Yung mga ibang video, syempre, tumatatak pa rin sa isipan mo yung kahit paano. Parang nagjo-joke-joke lang, parang ano lang, kunwari-kunwarian lang. Parang nag-attempt pa lang siya na magpapakamatay siya using yung rope. Live, yun naman, live, hindi yun in-upload. Talagang live, maraming nanonood. Siguro nasa 1,000 na rin eh. Tapos yung mga nagko-comment na uy, wag mong gagawin niya, mga ganong comment. Yung wag kang papakamatay, wag kang magsisuicide. Yung iba naman, niloloko pa, sige, tuloy mo yan. So, ibig sabihin, as long as hindi pa siya nagsusuicide, hindi namin pwedeng i-stop yung live niya. Siyempre, pag in-stop namin kami naman malalagot, namin yun. Parang sa quality issue namin yun. Nung paakit na siya ng bangko, tapos nilagay na niya yung rope sa leeg niya. Yun na, kinabahan na kami, parang tutuluyan niya talaga eh. Iba na yung dating eh. Ayun nga, yung nagpakamatay na nga siya. Tinadyakan niya yung upuan niya. Parang pilit siyang malaban. Pero wala. Mali na rin yun eh. Nakaganon na. Huwag kang magpapa-apekto sa video. Siyempre, kahit pa paano, hindi natin masabi eh. May mga ganun kasi, naapektuhan ka ba sa mga nakikita mo?
During my time, there was the case of the one who committed suicide. I was responsible in conducting and diagnosing anything that has something to do with mental health. This guy who committed suicide has been in the company since the very start. I saw in his eyes at the time that I was talking to him that he is very sad. I asked him if I can help him, but he never really admitted that he has a problem. He hanged himself in his house at the front of his laptop with a rope on his neck and with the laptop at his front. My disappointment is that I was not able to help him. 3 times he already informed the boss, the operations manager, to please transfer him. And if he complained already that they wanted to be transferred, the management should do something about it. Maybe this is a cry for help already.
Mahalaga sa buhay mo. Lagi mo kasing binibigay yung parte ng katauhan mo na isasakripisyo mo para sa bagay na o sa tao. Sakripisyo para sa akin, yes. Lagi talagang nandoon yun. Lagi yung sakripisyo, present, hindi mawawala yun eh. It's my job to prevent the sin of all images. I'm a preventer. So you need to prevent sin to be out in the social media. I'm different from what I'm before. It's just like a virus in me wherein It's slowly penetrating in my brain, and the reaction of my body is like I'm working as a moderator day to day. And then I quit. I need to stop. There's something wrong happening.
I suddenly asked myself, why am I doing this? Just for the people to think that it's safe to go online. When in fact, in your everyday job, it's not safe for you. We are slaving ourselves. We should wake up in being okay with that, because it's not okay. We should wake up to the reality.
It takes courage to choose hope over fear. To say that we can build something and make it better than it has ever been before. You have to be optimistic to think that you can change the world. We do it one connection at a time. One innovation at a time. Day after day after day. And that's why I think the work that we're all doing together is more important now than it's ever been before.
Ignore, ignore, delete, delete, ignore, 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 ignore.
PBS, your home for independent film.